It is our privilege to welcome in Lobo head coach Paul Weir. Coach Weir, thank you for being with us. I want to ask first about what New Mexico did to get out of the tough start that the Lobos had and get it going there in the first half from your perspective when it looked so good. What was going well?
I don't even know if the start itself was bad. We just missed our first 6 free throws. When you go 0 for 6 to start the game at the free throw line, when you have a great possession, finish it with a free throw and go 0 for 2, it feels awful. I mean, it just, even amongst your own, it's like, man, and then you do it again, and then you do it again. And I think it was like 8-2 maybe or something, and I'm sitting there going, we've missed 6 free throws. And those, unfortunately, I think take a little bit of the wind out of your sails at that point. But we weathered it. We made some shots. We were able to kind of get back in from there, and I thought played a relatively traditional game for about the next 30 minutes or so. And then I thought in the last 4 or 5, same thing. Couldn't make free throws, just missed a lot of loose balls, and they made them. And they got the loose balls, and they made the free throws. And you got to give Penn credit. It's what makes them good, and it's what makes us not good yet.
Yeah. Hey, Coach, noticed some tweaks. The zone defense, thought it was effective. What were your thoughts about the zone?
Yeah, I'd have to go back and look at the percentages in the first half. It was almost double the effectiveness of our man. You chart them, and we were in both about the same amount, both about 12 possessions or so. I think it might have been 14 of zone and 10 of man, or vice versa. But our zone had double the effectiveness of our man at halftime. So we kind of thought, let's do a little bit more of it, which we did, but we probably stayed in it a little long. I thought then they got into a rhythm against the zone, and then we went back to man, but we just couldn't kind of push through at that point and make enough buckets to kind of get anything set up, unfortunately. We just kind of, I don't think it was as bad as it's been. We just couldn't kind of get some of those shots around the rim to go down and free throws to go in, and we were just kind of running back and transition quite a bit as opposed to getting our defenses set up.
And the tweak, not only on the defense, but offensively. I mean, your starting lineups and how you did that, and your substitution patterns.
Yeah.
I think it felt like guys were kind of getting some rhythm and playing together. I mean, we saw some matchups where, Corey and Carlton were playing at the same time. They had some high lows.
For sure.
And you could see the rhythm kind of coming together.
Yeah, I think so. We have our size. We have a lot of things that we struggle with, and there's no doubt about that. But I do feel like we have some depth up front. I think you've seen it for probably a few weeks now. We're trying to get the ball inside, and we need to continue to work with our guards and their ability to get them the ball, and then we have to continue to work with our bigs for them to actually do good things when they get it. But at the end of the North Texas game, you get the ball to the post 9 times in 80 possessions. You can't look back and say, I did a good coaching job or we did a good job as a team. We have to look back on the game and say, hey, you know what, guys? If for whatever reason our bigs couldn't finish around the rim or we couldn't make free throws, we can put our head on the pillow. But I'm not going to put my head on the pillow throwing that ball all over the place with guards and watching big men underneath the rim just stand and watch them kind of make plays. So that's kind of how I think we've been morphing to it for a while, but we've just gotten more and more deliberate about it. And I think there were some stretches tonight where that deliberateness, showed some dividends. Yeah. Not enough, definitely not enough, and not where it needs to be, but progress.
Early on, it looked like there were some ball security issues again, and just what do you think was the problem there today?
Yeah, I've spent a lot of time watching film. We've spent a lot of time watching film. We've spent a lot of time. I think if you watched us tonight, it might be the simplest thing you've ever seen. There is no complicatedness to anything we're doing. We've tried to eliminate every possible decision we can that might be confusing them or overwhelming them to where they're turning over the ball. So we've kept it very simple to 1 to 2 reads, 1 to 2 options to get rid of the ball. And unfortunately, at the beginning of the game, they we still just kind of weren't just making the simple pass or the simple read. It just took, I guess, the flow of the game for them to feel a little bit better about feeding the post and getting out of the way, basically.
The follow-up, there was one possession, recall distinctly, where Tone was coming off the baseline screen and curled rather than flaring out to the corner, and the pass went to the corner as Tone made the curl. Is that two guys making the same read? Or
yeah, unfortunately, Tone stopped on his curl, and he hesitated for a second, and Vance thought he was going one way, Tone stopped, and he threw the ball out of bounds. That's a little bit on me as well. I mean, again, we're trying to simplify it. You have two options on a cut. Tone was just trying to make a play. He's just probably a little bit further ahead in what we're doing than maybe Vance making that read. And unfortunately, that play happened tonight. I don't want to say those plays happened because we have to find a way to eliminate our turnovers.
And I couldn't remember if that was after a timeout, but it seemed to me you were trying to get the ball to Mathis. You had a couple of, after timeouts, some plays to try to get him off of picks, because in the first half he was able to score at the point position.
Yeah.
You moved him off the point, then he really couldn't get any looks.
I know. He unfortunately didn't have great juice tonight. His legs. He just didn't have that. We were trying to play him 20 minutes tonight. That was the goal. It was like, let's get 20 out of Tone. He's been through a lot here the last few days and week or so. But unfortunately, with the other guys, we just didn't feel comfortable, and we're trying to get more experience on the floor. We're just trying to get older guys out there, just bring in the younger guys in different situations where they can grow and develop. But I think going out against a team like this, going out against these teams that we've been playing, these top 100, 150 teams, it's just hard to go out there with these kids and consistently expect good results.
But, Coach, you're seeing some. I mean, I'm seeing some positive things. It's just trying to put 40 minutes together.
Exactly. And unfortunately, in the last 4 minutes, I'm going to ballpark 8 loose balls, and we went 0 for 8. And until we find a way to just get those balls, no excuses, no holds barred, like that needs to be our ball. We don't have enough of a margin for error to overcome it against teams of this caliber. These are all very good basketball teams we're playing, just like they're going to be in conference, and you can't have 35 good minutes. Like you can't. You have to finish the game and do it at the end, and obviously at the beginning as well.
On Tone, 33 minutes. The foot from pregame North Texas. Okay?
I think so. Unfortunately, Tone got hit with food poisoning last night, so he was kind of a game time deal. And we knew that going in. He wanted to play anyways. That's why I said we thought we'd get 20 out of him, get him some rest here and there. But just the way the kind of game started with those younger guards, we just kind of went to Tone. He obviously made some shots, and then the game's unfolding, and you're just feeling like you got to try and win the game. And when a guy hasn't got in a while, you're a little nervous about going to him later, and it just kind of unfolded that way. If we kept him at lower minutes, he might have made more shots later, but we might not have been able to get back into the game to even get to that point later. So I guess it's a 50-50 call in those moments.
I asked Hunter this during the broadcast, and he had his thoughts. As you look at the minutes and the way they were laid out for your team tonight, it's definitely different to see multiple players with 30-plus minutes and multiple players near 25, 26, 27 minutes even. Could this be a little bit more how it looks moving forward? You talked about it a little bit overall so far, and I also asked Hunter about the fatigue part. Part of it was the zone would help with the fatigue. Mm-hmm. Did you notice any fatigue from guys playing extra minutes tonight?
Potentially, and that's something we have to work through. I mean, we went to zone to play guys more minutes. We went to zone to not wear down Carlton so he could be good late. Like keep guys out of foul trouble, which tonight we were terrific at. So we've had our issues, and we thought the zone could fix some of those issues. And now we've got to kind of navigate that with each guy and realize, okay, even when we're playing zone, we all have our limits on minutes, especially big guys. I mean, big guys playing 40 minutes or anything close to that, it's hard to do. So we've got to kind of be able to evaluate that, adapt to that based on each guy and what their sweet spot happens to be with minutes.
You have a week now before you play your final regular season non-conference game. What will you focus on here with your team over this next week?
It's really just I told the guys after the game, and I think I said it in the presser. I think we all need to just be honest about what has happened. And I think the honest part of this is that we all, fans, players, coaches, people on the program, university, community, whatever it may be, read a lot of things about a lot of guys and looked at last year's team, and judgments were made about those players and that team. They were made before the season. They were made about me. They were made about the team. They were made about Joe and Anthony and Sam and Chris and all those other guys that were part of it. And people thought last year's team was not very good and that they weren't supposed to be very good. People looked at a totally different group of guys and totally different, whatever it may be this year, and thought this team is supposed to be very good. And what we haven't really quite realized was those things don't mean anything. It meant nothing to last year's team, and it means nothing to this year's team. And until we acknowledge that as a group, we're not going to be able to change right now the trajectory that we're on. How many stars you have besides your name when the ball goes up against Penn is completely irrelevant. Where you were picked in the Mountain West Conference preseason standings is completely irrelevant when you're playing North Texas. Last year, we were those teams. We were Penn, we were North Texas, we were the underdog fighting mentality. For whatever reason, we went into this year thinking we didn't have to do that anymore. And I think if we can find a way to change that channel and get back to that, and these guys that maybe feel a certain way about themselves or even feel a certain way about this team, then now that talent becomes a bonus as opposed to right now a hindrance. And that's something that we start back right with tomorrow morning, and you go right back to work and you just work your way through it and you work your way out of it. There's no other magic recipe. You need a dose of humility, which we have, and hopefully now I can get the young men in there to also feel. I felt it. I've been humiliated since whenever about what we're doing and what's going on, but I've yet to make them feel that way. And I've tried every motivational technique you can think of to get them to think that way about themselves as well, but I haven't been able to do it yet. Hopefully now we finally reached a point where we can drop our egos, we can drop our resumes, we can drop all those things wherever we do before we enter the facility, and we can just go be a good basketball team, and we can just go be a hungry, tough, physical, feisty, gritty team that we have not shown so far. We've shown some flashes, we've shown some abilities, we've shown some things, but until we get that and capture that, we're not going to be able to do the things that a lot of people outside our program and people inside our program kind of just expected to materialize this year without actually going out and actually earning it.
Wherever last year's team found it, they did. They found a desperation.
Yes.
That they played with.
Exactly.
That
right.
was the hallmark that ran off those 7 straight wins, right?
Yep, no question. And that's my duty, our duty, to go find that same energy.
Is there anything that you'll do here in the holidays with them as a group, or give them a day or two to be with family, friends? What does the holidays look like for them? A lot of work, obviously.
Yeah, very rarely in college basketball do you actually get a break for Christmas. I've had maybe 1 in 14, 15 years of doing this. The way we set up our schedule, particularly the way the rest of our schedule went, we did line up to give them some days. We are practicing tomorrow, but we are going to give them a couple of days around the holidays for some guys to be able to get home, for some guys just to kind of enjoy Christmas. It's rare in this profession. Trust me, there are many moments over the last few weeks that I've wanted to cancel that out of my own frustration and my own pain and my own anger, but at the end of the day, it's the holidays. They're kids, they're student athletes, they deserve it. And like I said, rarely do you get these opportunities to spend time with family in the holidays as a college basketball player, and I'm thankful that the ones that are going to be able to enjoy it can enjoy it, and the ones that stay here will end up at my house or someone else's house, and we'll just kind of enjoy a few days and then kick it back off again on the 26th.
Well, we hope that you enjoy the holidays as well.
Thank you, and you too. You too.
Merry Christmas, Coach.
Maybe I'll see you at the grocery store again.
Not picking up another turkey.
Yeah, buying something. Today. I don't have anything. I haven't bought a present. I haven't done a thing, Hunter.
I got honey
if
baked
Christmas
ham,
was
baby.
tomorrow, I'd be toast. I've got
Get over
I've
to
got
honey baked ham.
I
Close
gotta
at 7.
go do I got a lot of work to do, man.
Coach Weir, thank you
All
very
right,
much.
Coach.
All right.
All right.
Lobo head coach Paul Weir, our guest. For Jackson Weaver, our broadcast producer and engineer in the studios of Learfield, my on-site engineer is Michael Carlisle. My broadcast partner is Hunter Green. I'm Robert Portnoy. The Lobos have lost here 75-65 to Penn. New Mexico's record is 5-6 with one more non-conference game left on the schedule, and we will have that for you, of course. We want you to enjoy your holiday with those closest to you. And New Mexico is going to take on the University of the Southwest. It's a road game for the Lobos, but it is a home game on the road. They're playing University of Southwest in Hobbs. It is a 2 o'clock tip-off on December 30th. So we'll have that for you 8 days from today as New Mexico takes on University of Southwest. And between now and then, I hope you get to spend a lot of time with family, friends, and enjoy the holidays. And Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays to all of you. Partner, it's been a lot of fun. We've got one more, and then the second season starts, conference play.
Yeah.
And it's right there. We're University of Southwest, and then boom, we're turning around and going to Colorado
Actually,
Springs.
right at the new year.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
Second day was it? Yeah, so January 2nd.
Yeah. All right.
Looking
All right.
forward to it. Merry Christmas, man.
Same to you. Merry Christmas to all of Lobo Nation, and we will talk to you in 8 days. JJ Buck is ready for you. He's at Albuquerque Downs Racetrack and Casino with the Overtime Call-In Show locally here in Albuquerque coming up. So long for now, and your final score for the final time. UNM falls to Penn 75-65. Good night, everybody. You're listening to Lobo Basketball from Learfield.